Dear white people, this is your annual pre-Halloween reminder that blackface is completely unacceptable. Don't be like her. Don't be like him. Don't be like him. Don't be next on that Summer Jam screen. This is subversive, calling attention to white privilege. This is offensive, making fun of black people and the criminal justice system with none of the nuance or understanding that goes into that situation. Black people are not a costume, and blackface itself has a very offensive and triggering history. This is white people blacking up and pretending to act like black people and perpetuating the worst stereotypes. There's still some confusion about whether or not this is acceptable. 1/3 of Americans are wrong. Here's the poll broken out by race. 18% of white people are saying that it's always acceptable to dress like a person of another race. 21% sometimes acceptable. Black people, 53% never acceptable. 13% rarely acceptable. 66% of black people are saying don't do this shit. We're the ones who are going to get offended. We're the ones who are going to tell you to your face that this is not okay. If I see this walking around my neighborhood, we're going to have a conversation. If your costume calls for putting color on your face to be darker, don't do it. If your costume calls for changing your hair to mimic a black hairstyle, be it whatever attempt at, I don't know what the fuck that is, or an afro or dreads, don't fucking do it.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about some more clear and overt hypocrisy from liberals who are currently triggered and boo-hoo whining and crying over some Halloween costumes that some white people and influencers have decided to dress up as for Halloween. Like, for example, Lily Gaddis here, she dressed up as a black person, a black woman. And then you have Brittany Venti, okay, she did blackface as well too, okay, dressed up as a black person. And left wingers are upset. Now, in full transparency, again, I don't really listen to these individuals at all, so I don't really know that much about them. I do believe that Brittany Venti here is half black, so I'm not sure how a half black person can do blackface, right? When they're half black, but that's what we got going on here, okay? And leftists, again, are boohoo whining and crying about this in ways that they never did when just a few weeks ago you had Drewski do full-blown whiteface, okay, and act like a stereotypical white redneck. And everybody laughed at it, including white people, right? Conservatives as well, too. Everybody laughed, and it was no problem, right? Nobody really cared because ultimately today, like, you have to be a complete and total snowflake to be offended by this, right? And that same standard applies here, right? You have to be a snowflake to be offended by this, okay? Even though I did find this to be funny, mainly because it was a comedy skit. This right here, not so much. And again, not because it's blackface, but because I just didn't think that this was all that funny. Now, again, you know, blackface can be funny, right? And there has been, you know, blackface skits that I have found to be hilarious, right? But just, you know, this in particular, not so much, okay? But again, I'm not offended by it, right? It's one of those things I'm just like, hey, you know, like, they're allowed to do that, right? I didn't really see much harm in it, okay? It is what it is. And there's some people who did find it funny. Just like there's people who found this to be funny, right? That's the world that leftists have created, right? But we cannot have this double standard where this is okay, but this is not, right? If we can have this, then you can't have a problem with this. But again, if leftists had standards, they wouldn't be leftists, okay? And this is why you have a ton of black people, black liberals on the internet, boo-hoo whining, girl, oh, they did blackface. Oh, that hurt my feelings.
Every year around Halloween, white folks prove that they have an unhealthy obsession with black folks, no matter how much they try to deny it or say that they hate us and wish that we would just leave them alone. Every year, bro. Every single year. And every single time they do it, they have to backtrack and backpedal and make these bullshit apologies. Everybody's talking about Lily Gaddis right now, but I want to bring a little bit of attention to somebody that posted themselves in blackface saying, the only thing I want for Halloween is EBT. Very unfunny.
This is truly unbelievable. Multiple different Trump supporters dressed up as black people for Halloween and mocked them for being on EBT. This is one of the most painful symbols in all of U.S. history, and unfortunately it's become normalized in Donald Trump's America. Multiple different accounts participated thinking this is a funny joke, and as you can tell, it's got millions of views. This person is even followed by Charlie Kirk's account. How surprising. Here's the last one. Again, over 2 million views. She says yo yo in a terrible word. In 5 hours EBT ends, thinking she's funny or something. What they're doing, of course, is known as B-face. I can't say the word on here, but of course it has a long and terrible history. It was used in shows to demonize black people, to depict them as lazy, ignorant, or greedy. Those caricatures, of course, helped justify segregation, discrimination, and the denial of basic human rights. When somebody today revives that imagery for laughs, they are not being funny. They're echoing the language of hate that was used to keep people oppressed for generations. But that wasn't enough for the MAGA crowd. They also had to pair it with hatred towards EBT, mocking poverty, mocking hunger, and mocking the people that are struggling to survive in an economy that's already stacked against them. I promise there's nothing funny about mocking oppression or mocking people for needing help to eat.
Blackface Halloween costumes. This is America. Across social media, a lot of white people decided to post their Halloween costumes of themselves in blackface. I'm not surprised because losers are going to be losers, and I'm not disappointed because that would require a modicum of respect, but the obsession is wild. Like you're that obsessed. That obsessed? We're on your minds constantly. Siri play Mariah Carey obsessed. Siri play Nick Jonas jealous. The way they're so bold with it proves why they chose this current regime. They want to be out loud and proud with their racism. Forget food and healthcare, they want to feel superior even though they look like fools. When Barack Obama was president, black people didn't put on whiteface. But when you're that insecure, you try to make others feel inferior even though it backfires.
It's 2025, about to be 2026. Halloween just ended, and we as black people are still going through the same bullshit we've been dealing with for the past 400 years. Two of the biggest right-wing pick-me's, such as Brittany Venti. I do not care if Brittany Venti is biracial. You should not be doing this bullshit on social media. And Lily, who is a total racist, decided to do blackface for Halloween. Mind you, these are the same people who get up in your face and tell you that racism is no longer alive in America and that we as black people are exaggerating. And for months, I've been hearing black people say, what is this obsession with black people? Why are they so obsessed with black people? There's actually a term for this. It's called negrophilia, or in modern terms, it's called blackfishing or blackophilia.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand. Apparently dressing up as another race is offensive for Halloween, right? It's a Halloween costume, okay? This is what these people claim. Oh, God, I'm so offended. Why are whites so obsessed with us? Why do you got to try to dress up like us? Oh, God, right? These people boo-hoo-whine and cry. But, again, none of these people had a problem with, again, Drewski going full whiteface, okay, and trying to portray white people in a very, I mean, some people would characterize derogatory, right, stereotypical way. It's like, you know, uneducated rednecks, right? That's what he tried to do, and they didn't have a problem with it, right? They didn't say anything about it. There was no boohoo, whine, and cry. In fact, they laughed at it, right? They talked about how, you know, true or, you know, how this stereotype is so accurate, right? But again, let somebody do this, okay? Now all of a sudden, oh no, we're upset, right? We're mad, okay? We got a boohoo, whine, and cry. But I don't have a problem with it, right? I don't have an issue with it. I don't care, right? When I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. Like, they're dressing up as black people to try to act, you know, like stereotypical black people for Halloween. Who cares, right? I wasn't offended. I didn't get my boxers in a bunch, right? I was not upset about it, right? I didn't care because it's, you know, it's whatever, right? But again, I just find it funny how liberals are now upset about this in ways they would never be when it comes to whiteface. And again, we have clear-cut examples of how there was no reaction to this. They didn't care about this. People were laughing at this. This is okay. But again, now all of a sudden, this is the worst thing in the world. What makes it even worse is that individuals like Kyle Kuklinski posted this fake outrage after he openly mocked Charlie Kirk's wife, who is currently grieving due to the fact that her husband was assassinated. Now, I got to tell you guys, I've seen some very disgusting things over the past few weeks about Erica Kirk, to be honest with you, right? And a vast majority of it comes from the left. I'm also seeing some of it from the right as well, too, but a vast majority of it comes from the left. I really do not understand how you can mock a grieving widow and claim that somehow, some way, her emotions are fake or that she's not grieving the right way, right? I mean, that's essentially what these leftists are arguing, right?
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be long before USA made that turning point. And that ain't the only thing that's turning. So is Charlie. In his grave. What is this, Erica? Huh? This is not the way a grieving widow hugs a dear friend. What is going on here? I know it's already going to be people in my comment section. Well, that's the way I show affection. I think the world needs more hugs. Yeah, hugs. Not a hold. There's a difference between a hug and a hold. She's holding.
Understand that if my husband hugged anyone like this, other than me, it'd be the last hug he ever gave. Listen, here's the thing. I'm not the jealous type. I know that sounds ironic, but I think it's flattering when people hit on my husband and flirt with him. Because I'm like, yeah, I think he's fine too. I get it. But this shit, that hug is intimate, right? That's a Nicholas Sparks kind of hug right there. That's a book talk type of hug. The way that he has his arms around her waist, her hand in his hair, the way he's looking at her, my God. Sorry, but my husband's only allowed to look at me that way. Or Orville Peck.
Massive left-wing commentator Kyle Kalinske posted this meme of Erica Kirk, fake grieving widow, Halloween costume meme. This guy has 2 million subs on YouTube, 500K followers on Twitter, and also once appeared at an event with Charlie Kirk. He actually, in 2019, not only took this photo with Charlie Kirk, but he debated him for 2 hours. And it's still on his YouTube channel, by the way. So for those keeping track at home, not only will they say, you listen to our ideas, open debate, we need to listen to each other, conversations. After that, they'll watch you get shot in the neck and die in front of the entire world. Then they will start a rumor saying that your grieving wife, who they say is fake grieving, by the way, is sleeping with the vice president of the United States. And not only is he the vice president of the United States, he's a friend of yours. And then on top of that, they will start making memes about the mother of your children, fake grieving. And they will also talk about her leather pants. That's the game, I guess.
That is really sad in my opinion. But like I said, I've seen a lot of disgusting stuff. But this is probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Right? And again, he posted this before boohoo whining and crying about this, right? Apparently, this, okay, is worse than this, right? According to Kyle Kukalinski, okay? You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Furthermore, you have left-wingers all over TikTok dressed up as Charlie Kirk being assassinated for Halloween.
A lot of Halloween celebrations took place over the weekend, and it didn't fail for somebody to dress up as Charlie Kirk after he was assassinated. And this girl put her whole heart into it. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't understand how you find humor in dressing up as somebody who was publicly executed for practicing his First Amendment. And he would have wanted you to practice your First Amendment too, regardless of what your views are. This lady here goes by Amy the Project, and she took it upon herself to dress up as Charlie Kirk, assassinated, and go out to places like the gym to show off her costume. Anyways, homegirl can't take the heat because she did turn off her comments under all the videos. However, she went on to say this.
Some of y'all are sensitive. Empathy's stupid, or whatever he said.
Which is pretty ironic because that's not what Charlie Kirk said. This is what he said.
All about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
Anyways, this is your reminder that he didn't hate the LGBTQ plus community.
People dressing up as Charlie Kirk for Halloween, well, that's not hate, that's poetic justice. This man built his career on mocking others, and now he's the punchline. He's the punching bag now. Conservatives love to scream about free speech until it's used against them. And then suddenly, They're victims.
Yeah, see that you heard that. So of course you have leftists jumping through mental hoops in order to justify mocking the death of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, while at the same time, these are the same people, again, who are boohoo whining and crying about blackface, right? I mean, you can't make this stuff up, okay? These people, they're just telling you out loud exactly how they feel about you, right? And how there are no standards for them, right? They have no standards. Leftists are allowed to do whatever. They're allowed to make fun of you being assassinated. And in fact, they justify assassinations of right-wingers, right? Of conservatives, okay? While at the same time, again, if you do the tiniest thing to offend them, right? This doesn't have anything to do with assassination. Nobody's hurt by this except, some feelings might be hurt. But that's about it, that's about it. But yet they're in tears about this. This is the worst thing ever, right? But this right here, though, totally fine, okay? Oh, you're a snowflake if you're offended by this, right? This is totally fine, okay? In bounds, right? Again, these people have no standards. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world. And believe them when they tell you, when they show you what they think about you, right? They want to live in a world where they can say and do whatever to a conservative. Doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. But if you do just the tiniest thing to offend a liberal, right, or a black person, or so-called person of color, here they are, they're boohoo crying, they're in tears, right? They're upset, okay? It really is fascinating, the world that we live in. But again, like I told you guys, leftists are showing you who they are. Believe them, right? Believe them. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.